Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Davey Deathray here. How y'all doing? Holy cow, I am live on a Tuesday night. What's going on? Has the world gone topsy-turvy? No, I don't think so. It's just that crazy spooky season time of year where all of us horror channels are just crushing in all the content we can as I knock my microphone down. Yeah, guys, really pumped to be hanging out with everyone. Just gonna say what's up to everyone in the chat here really quick. I did just put a last minute poll in the chat there, asking you guys if Halloween 2018 is the best in the David Gordon Green trilogy, and it looks pretty tight so far. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see that develop as we go here. And yeah, guys, originally I was gonna do this idea, this whole like how to make it better kind of idea as a pre-recorded video, but I feel like that would take like forever. Maybe at some point when I, when the channel is taking up a bigger part of my life, as far as, if I ever get so lucky as to have it be a true side hustle or the full-time hustle, I could do a nice video essay on it and everything. But I figured for spooky season, it would be fun to jump in with you guys and do just like a live version of how to make it better, because ever since these movies came out, I started thinking about the little things that I would do, the little changes that I would make that I think would, perhaps make these a little bit better. Maybe, maybe not for me necessarily, I guess in certain ways, but also to just sort of, as a response to some of the fair criticism, that we've seen from these Halloween films, which I really, really enjoy, the David Gordon Green trilogy. It's no secret here on the channel that I, really enjoy them, even though, not everything's perfect in these movies by any stretch of the imagination. But I'm going to say what's up to everyone in the chat, and then we will get going here, because I figured this probably doesn't need to be the longest stream here. I know there's a lot of people either live right now or going live really soon. So I want to be able to just come in and say my piece, hang out with you guys for a minute, and then let you enjoy the rest of what the YouTube landscape has going on here. We got Lamontre Gillard in the chat. How are you doing, Lamontre? Great to see ya. Adrian James, one of our great channel members. How you doing, Adrian? We got Raymond Malaber, a new channel member. How you doing, Raymond? Hope the day is treating you well. What's happening, Big Rod? Always a pleasure to see you hanging out in the chat. Hey, howdy, hey, right back at you, Ashton. How you feeling about Drake May? Is he gonna, bring you guys some good fortune this year? Or is he going to make sure that he gets some good time out there on the field, but you still get a good draft pick for next year? Because you want him to have some weapons or maybe even some better protection, right? Let me know how you're feeling about Drake May. We got Happy Sanjo, Mr. Coy, hanging out in the chat, one of our great channel members, as is Big Rod as well. I try to mention that every single time. Sometimes I forget. Intro music makes Coy horny. Yeah, that's White Bat Audio. I really dig his stuff. He's got a good sound. He's always putting out music. I just found the one track that I really like, and I just use it over and over again. Makes it way easier for me. What's happening, D.A. Mac, one of our great channel members here. How you doing? Hope you're having a great day so far. Yeah, and Wade F. and Wilson says it's a late one here in the UK. But hey, everybody. Yeah, gosh, what is it about? 1 in the morning out there? Something like that? Yeah, it is a bit late for sure. We got Antonis. Andriota says, tomorrow for my birthday, can I get a shout out from you? Hell yeah, absolutely. On Late Night with the Davey, I can give you a shout out, Antonis. Absolutely. I'll be on tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern with Damien Maffei. You know him from Haunted and Strangers Pray at Night. We're gonna have a fun time just chit-chatting about horror and what we love about it and all that kind of fun stuff. I'm really looking forward to it. What's happening, Gene Whitacombe? How you doing, Gene? Great to see you popping up in here. Dean Renner, how you doing, Dean? Always great to see you jumping in on the chat as well. I love when I see people that are relatively new to the channel and then we see you coming back for more. It's so awesome. So really appreciate you kicking it. And I had no idea, Dean, that you are. I don't know if you already have your channel going or if it's something that you're still working on getting going. But I know Matt had mentioned it last night when I was on Facci Cinema to do the Slashtober Sweet 16. So yeah, if you've got a channel, let me know and we can go ahead and post it here in the chat. You know, if not yet, just let me know when you're up and running and we'll give you a little shout out there for sure. Let's see here. We got holy cow. Cecil Laird from the Horror Show channel says, "Hey man, how long you going? Have an extra seat for Smile too." I'll probably only go about an hour, Cecil. I don't know if I'd be able to make it out there in time. What time's the screening? Maybe I could. Maybe I could. If it's past 7 o'clock, then it's possible. What's happening, Gina? We got my chunky Jordy in the chat hanging out with us. Always great to see you hanging. Let's see here. Brooke Scarlett, how you doing, Brooke? Brooke saying what's up to everyone with the sweet little jack-o'-lantern emoji. Love seeing that. That is great. Let's see what else we got going on here. We got Dave Vanderhoff. How you doing, Dave? I love your sweet little setups that you you know, post on Instagram. You know, not only your tombstone stuff is really cool, but I even like the, you know, showing off the physical media stuff. I really dig that. So if you guys don't follow Dave on Insta, you should go stalk him over there. It's a good horror post for sure. What's happening, Foong Pai? Great to see you hanging out here. Evil dies tonight. Oh, we'll be getting into that one next week. So, guys, yeah, today I'll be just talking about Halloween from 2018. And then next Tuesday, it's going to be Halloween Kills. And then the Tuesday after that, we're going to close out October with Halloween Ends. So, really looking forward to getting all this going with you guys. And looks like Coy is gifting channel memberships. That is so awesome. Who gets gifted the membership? Ashton Luck is gifted the membership by Happy Sanjo. Welcome back to channel membership, Ashton. Love having you as part of the crew. Look at that. There it is. Boom. Officially a channel member once again. What's happening, Liana? Liana is... Wow, Liana cracks. You really crack me up, Liana. Not only over here when we're having our fun over here, but last night you were cracking me up as well. So really appreciate you, you know, having you as one of our awesome community members here. Let's see here. Big Rod says, I saw the funniest post about the Adams trade. It said, the Jets just picked up the perfect piece. They needed to have a 7-10 season. Yeah, I mean, they'll have to win. What, there's 11 games left? Is that where we're at for most teams? Or I guess all teams at this point. Yeah, 11 games left, 12 weeks. So yeah, I mean, they have to win like 9 of those probably to stand a chance, right? You'd have to have at least 11 wins, I would imagine, to expect to make the playoffs. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I really wish the Commanders would have gotten Adams, but you know, whatever. What can you do? It's maybe we'll be able to get him next year once Aaron Rodgers retires. Wade F. and Wilson says, Davey, you've been on such a grind lately. Your hard work doesn't go unnoticed, brother. Big thanks for this channel for sure. Keep up the quality content. Thank you so much, Wade. I do have to get better at the pre-recorded content, but I just love the live so much. I just, you know, hanging out with you guys is a blast. The pre-recorded stuff takes so long. I'm behind on a couple things. Speaking of Antonis, whose birthday is tomorrow, I owe him a Bride of Chucky review. I want to review It's Me, Billy, Chapter 2. And I also got in the can right now, I've got Evil Dead franchise ranking, and then I'm working on a Halloween franchise ranking. Ideally, I'll be able to wrap up a Child's Play franchise ranking as well. So we'll see. Maybe tonight I can get a little something recorded. Or perhaps tomorrow. Sometimes I record on my lunch break, so we'll see how that goes. Ashton says, May looked good, made some rookie mistakes, but I was happy with his performance. Hoping we can stay in the top 5. Yeah, you don't want to be too good, right? Absolutely. But yeah, it's he did look good, so that's great to see. You know, you want your rookies to be able to take some of those bumps and bruises, but not anything too serious as far as bumps and bruises go. Yeah, it's really cool. I'm super pumped to have Damien on the show. I really enjoy his work, and it just seems like we're like-minded kind of guys. We really enjoy punk rock and horror. So, you know, if I can find somebody that likes those two things, that's pretty good. Oh yeah, big time changes, Raymond. It's going to be interesting to see how the AFC East shakes out. My bet is the Bills are going to run away with that one. How you doing, Prince? Great to see you. Good morning from one of the most beautiful countries in the world. Prince hanging out in the Philippines. Oh yeah. Let's see here. Cool. Yeah, man. Once you have stuff ready and like you're feeling comfortable and you've hit the ground running, like reach back out and we can put a little something together. But I know like the approach that I had when I started the channel, Dean, was I put in, gosh, I didn't even start doing lives regularly until I had been doing the channel for like 7 or 8 months, and reached out for a couple collabs about 6 months in, but nothing too crazy. I really just wanted to like get in my groove and get comfortable. But of course, it looks like maybe you went to school for, I think it was broadcasting or something that I saw there. So you might be like already comfortable and ready to hit the ground running. So hell yeah. Let's see. Just want to make sure I'm not missing anyone else. 7 p.m. and at the Tempe. Gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that one, Cecil, but I sure do appreciate the heads up for sure, or the invite. Absolutely. But I don't think I'm going to be able to make that one this time around. Antonis's favorite is Kills in the David Gordon Green trilogy. All right. Adrian, I do remember Van Helsing. Kind of fun. Kind of had that the Mummy with Brendan Fraser sort of vibes. Also a little bit of like a Castlevania kind of vibe. Like if you had Van Helsing instead of Simon Belmont, a little bit of that video game feel. I think Van Helsing's like really fun. I wish like, it was made at a time where it was, there's some kind of corny stuff about it, but I think it like, if I remember correctly, and I think I only saw it once, like for the most part, it worked for me because I knew exactly what it was trying to be, sort of a tongue-in-cheek adventure kind of movie. So, and I do love Hugh Jackman and what's her face? Is it Kate Beckinsale? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Raymond might be seeing Terrifier 3 this weekend, working on it. Yeah, I'm still, considering going and seeing that. I might even go see it tonight. We'll see. We will see. The Black Christmas stream was great and very interesting, says Tom Baker. Hell yeah. Yeah, Black Christmas is so damn good. I enjoy the hell out of that movie so much. It gets better every time I watch it. And Raymond, you're right. Lives are the best. Yes, Coy, I owe you one as well. Holy cow. It's just stacking up. We got Jamie Hart, our original Death Squad mod. How are you doing, Jamie? She says, go Bills. I have no doubt that they will win the AFC East unless something unforeseen happens, which I certainly don't expect or hope for in any regard. What's happening? Eli Cortez, one of our great channel members and Death Squad mods. How are you doing, Eli? I'm glad no one's missed anything. We're still saying what's up. I can't believe it. There's 25 people watching right now, which just blows my mind because I know that Dave and Bruce are live right now talking about It's Me, Billy Chapter 2. So I really do appreciate you guys hopping on over and hanging out with us. Yeah, let's see here. Just want to make sure I'm not missing saying hello to anyone else that's bumping in. Let's see here. Looks like, yeah. Oh, so Dean, you were on a previous show for almost a year. All right. Okay. That's awesome, man. That's really cool that people reached out and wanted you to start your own channel. So, and man, putting time into setting it up before you really open up the doors. That's smart. I wish I had done that. I also wish I had done a bunch of pre-recorded Halloween videos in the summer that I could just release. But I'm having fun doing all the lives here. I am having fun doing that for sure. What's happening? Brad Johnson, my guy from Juneau, Alaska. How you doing, Brad? I haven't checked it out yet. I'm so far behind on music. I have not heard one Ice9 Kills song. I don't even know what they sound like. I don't even know, but I saw a little bit of the video. I just didn't hear the song. I just saw a little snippet of the beginning of the video. But I feel like I might want to watch Terrifier 3 maybe before I even watch that. So we'll see. We'll see. What's happening? Love Eli saying I was over on Dave's channel right now, but rather be here. Hell yeah. Really appreciate that for sure. All right, guys. So let's get right to it. We've been chatting for about 15 minutes. We finally said hello to everyone. That is awesome. we are going to get into, the little tweaks and changes that I would make in David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. So we're going to start tonight with Halloween 2018. I remember when this one got announced, I was so excited about everything. I was just really pumped with the direction they were taking it, uh, erasing all the other sequels. I'm like, why not? It just gets so messy. So let's just go back to that original tone. Let's bring Michael back, as close to as we remembered him from the original. And I remember being so pumped seeing this movie. I watched it, I think 3 or 4 times in the theater. I kept on going back. Had a absolute blast watching this film. Like I said earlier, it's not perfect. I don't know if I've ever seen technically like a perfect movie. I mean, I'm sure there's some out there. I don't think I'd change anything about Jaws, but certainly like most movies I watch, I think about like, oh, maybe I would have done something different there, or maybe I would have, it especially helps once the whole trilogy is out and you can sort of look at the sum of all the parts and sort of be like, all right, what could we change here? What could make this more palatable or more accessible, or maybe even just more entertaining or fascinating to the hardcore Halloween fans. So I'm excited to get into everything here. What's happening, Herbert? Great to see you hanging out in the chat once again, my guy. Really appreciate you kicking it with us. And we got Ryan Swayze in the house as well. How you doing, Ryan? How you doing? All right, guys. So without any further ado, let's get into these right now. And so what I'm probably going to do, guys, I would maybe you guys can sort of help me out, since this will be the first time doing this sort of live video. I think I'm just going to go through the categories and just sort of talk about, like, I might do a few categories or a few different changes that I would make, and then hop into the chat and sort of see what you guys are saying, and then hop a little bit back and forth. So or maybe I'll just go topic by topic. I don't know. Let me know in the chat how you guys would prefer to see this go. And if you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much, because YouTube will just on the live streams about a day after they air. So if you're watching this after the fact, I'd really appreciate it if you just drop down, put something in the comments. Let me know what you think of my ideas. Do I make the movie worse? Would nothing make this movie better in your mind? Or are you on the total other side and nothing's going to save this movie because you don't enjoy it? Let me know. And of course, whether or not you're watching now or watching after the fact, please make sure to like, subscribe, and share the channel or share the video with the horror or Halloween fan in your life. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and get into the very first change. I'm changing the title. This one might be kind of a no-brainer, but so it always sort of confused me. It's like they're saying they're picking up after the original movie. So the original movie is canon, right? And then there's a new trilogy. And so I'm like, well, technically, then the end of the trilogy would be David Gordon Green's second movie, right? And then his third movie would technically be the beginning of like a new chapter or just a one-off. So I'm going to sort of shift things and I'm going to sort of give away a little bit about what's to come next Tuesday and the following Tuesday, because I'm calling this movie Halloween Kills. That's right. I'm calling this one Halloween Kills. This one's going to be bloodier than the H18 that we got. Maybe we don't see everything unfold, right in front of the camera, but we're going to sort of get like a massacre or an aftermath scene of what happened on the bus. And by the time, Hawkins shows up and is checking everything out, like there's not just a couple bodies there, there's like mangled bodies all over the place. So right away, they know something is up, and, they don't need to, there's no conversation about picking up a couple of the inmates that were chasing butterflies or anything like that, because Michael is on a full-on rampage in this one. This one's going to be called Halloween Kills. The next one, Halloween Kills, is going to be called Halloween Ends. And then Halloween Ends, because everyone was so mad that Michael was sidelined, Halloween Ends is going to be called Halloween Returns. And it is going to be a true one-off. So I know I'm giving a little bit away, but I want it to make sense with you guys. So yeah, there's going to be Halloween from 1978, and then this movie is called Halloween Kills, and we see a Michael that is reminiscent of the original one in certain scenes, but he's definitely already ramped things up a notch, and he's got a little bit of a bloodlust. So that's my very first change. I don't know. Maybe I felt like I'm like, ooh, is this daring? I don't I don't know, what to think about it, but let me know what you guys think about that very first change here that we've got going along here. Yeah, Ashton, they could have called it Halloween Returns. I think like if Halloween Returns didn't serve as like a great name for like the Corey Cunningham sort of story, then I guess I would use it here for 2018. But yeah, I'm sort of scooching everything up, and then there's even some things you'll see from Kills that I'm going to sort of push into this movie as well. Yeah, I mean the Donald Pleasance lookalike is amazing there. Title switch is a good approach, says Dean. Eli says it sounds cool. Big Rod says my number one issue with the David Gordon Green trilogy is why didn't they at least introduce Corey? Maybe we will get to that here. Jamie says, thank you so much for reminding everyone, Jamie. Yes, don't forget to smash that like, subscribe to the channel, become a member, and join the Death Squad. And if you're watching after the fact, leave a comment. It's free, folks. Subbing and leaving comments, it's free. And you can I don't know how many of you guys, I know a handful of you guys usually comment, and I really like going back and forth in some of those comments, and I'm not too big of a jerk most of the time. Should have been called Halloween The Shape Returns, or Halloween The Awakening, or Halloween Return of the Boogeyman. Yeah, it's something there, because I think the title, could use some work for sure, especially if it is supposed to be a sequel to the original. Yeah, clearly Vanderhoff. Yeah, we're doing, when we talk about all this stuff, we're doing it with the benefit of knowing how it all shook out. So it's way easy for me to not necessarily criticize, but to jump in and be like, hey, you could make it better if you did this or if you did that. So, yeah, guys, that's the first big change here is I'm calling this movie Halloween Kills. I don't see any reason to hold off on closing out the trilogy, and then that way you've got a nice tight trilogy, and then you've got a movie where you can sort of play in the sandbox, and maybe it'll still ruffle some feathers, but at least half of the fandom can't say that it shouldn't be the way the trilogy ends, because technically the trilogy ends after 3 movies. So Halloween Ends, even though it's called Halloween Ends, is technically the first act of the next part. It's very confusing. So yeah, this movie is called Halloween Kills. All right. And portrayal of Laurie is the next thing I have up. Originally, and I've said it a couple times on live streams that they sort of, it's almost like they got it backwards with Ends in 2018, that she should have been a bit more like the sweet girl in 2018. And then in Ends, she's a bit more like the Sarah Connor version, but after revisiting these, like, I had another idea where I was like, oh, I think what would be really cool is if we build in a little bit of a character arc and a little bit of almost like a character twist here. Like Laurie does sort of behave like the regular, schoolgirl, but we do get hints that it did take her some time to get over everything, that it did sort of wreck her family, but she's come out of that, right? And she's, been working on reconnecting with the family and everything. But once she gets visited by, the 2 podcasters, investigative journalists, once she gets visited by them, and I would probably put their visit like maybe a week or 2 before Halloween. So it's not like the day before. I think like that's convenient for the movie, but it doesn't really make sense. If they're really doing a podcast on it, they'd probably want some time to like edit it together and have the show come out on Halloween and not be shooting an interview or recording an interview like the day before. So after she meets up with the podcasters, she sort of starts going into this like a spiral of doubt, like something that she just hadn't thought about for a really long time. is now creeping in there. It's like this brain worm, it's just getting in, and she can't let it go. And the big, like, the reveal at the, towards the end of the movie is that she has the whole house is still all rigged and ready to go, and it is essentially a trap for Michael, just in case, because it's something that she set up years before, and something that she's able to utilize later on in the film. And another part of the twist here, and I think this is something that they were originally going to do. I don't know if it was ever in an actual cut of the film or if it was just in one of the screenplays. But I would have Laurie be instrumental in Michael's escape. I would have it be where she is trying to kill him, right? So she is trying to intercept the bus transporting the prisoners, and it's all her fault, essentially. She made a miscalculation. She didn't plan properly, so this whole thing goes haywire. She decides to bail once she realizes that she's lost control of the situation. And then we get that ensuing bloodbath of Michael taking care of everybody on the bus. And Laurie has now descended into the drinking and like the Sarah Connor kind of vibes, and her family's concerned and worried. And this doesn't, like, for Karen, it's sort of like, it's almost traumatic for her, because it's making her remember just how tumultuous her upbringing was and everything like that, when she thought those days were behind her. But now Laurie is overcome with this guilt. She's not telling anybody that she had anything to do with it, but we know, the audience knows, that she was directly involved with Michael's escape. And it's one of the things that sort of puts her on Michael's radar. I don't really want to dive I don't want to, it's not going to be just like, oh, Michael just is after her because he's connected to her. There is definitely a memory there, and he sees her on the scene. But I'm a little, as we get to some of the other characters here, you'll see that with Sartain, I've got like a couple different ideas of where I would take Sartain. And I would either kill him here, or I would have him not, I wouldn't have it like the adult characters be so jokey in this movie. I'm totally cool with the teenagers being silly and being the comic relief, but if I were to keep Sartain in the film throughout the film, he would be, much more serious, and it would be a way more difficult to figure out, whose side he's on. He wouldn't be dropping so many obvious hints. He absolutely would not be putting the mask on. But when you watch this movie and you think about Laurie and Michael and their paths crossing, certainly the big reason why that happens in the finished product is Dr. Sartain. So there's a couple different options that we can get into here as we go on with the changes that we would make. But I want to see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Let's see. Oh, you guys, I love it. I'm just seeing quotes from the movie and everything. I see Trisha McMasters is in the chat. How are you doing, Trisha? Great to see you. Let's see here. The two podcasters should have lived until Halloween Kills. Ooh, you know what? Herbert, you're going to want to come back next week. There might be something, there might be something in there that maybe you and I are thinking on the same wavelength in some regard. It's not exactly that, but you'll have to show up next week and find out for sure. Ashton wasn't a fan of the Sarah Connor approach. I don't mind it, but I think it would have been fun for there to be a bit more of an arc during the movie, instead of us just showing up and that's just the way Laurie is and we don't see the change happen, right? Dean says, that's what I'd have done too. Start Laurie out the way she was in Ends, but was still preparing for Michael to return. Hell yeah. Trisha doesn't love Laurie in 2018. I don't like seeing her now be a good mom or grandma. You mean bad mom? Because she's a bad mom in 2018, right? I mean, I guess she's an okay grandma. Not the best mom. I think it's kind of fun to watch someone rig a house and not make the mistakes we all watch in horror. Yeah, just not sure if it belongs there. Um, yeah, I think that in this one, I think it does make sense, but I sort of want her. I like the idea of her, like, not really letting anyone know, because in the end, like, they don't really know it's rigged anyways, and so it would have been nice if even the audience, like, if that's, like, a discovery for us as we're watching the movie and we realize, like, "Oh, holy shit, she was sort of, like, kind of playing pretend this whole time, acting like she had everything together, but really on the inside, she's been, like, anxiously awaiting this day, and as it approaches she just completely loses it. So I thought that would be pretty interesting there. Thank you so much for dropping in, Da. Really appreciate you. Have a great rest of your night, and yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Dave doesn't like the fact that she rigged the whole house hoping after 40 years she'd get him back there. Come on. Yeah, and it does sort of ask, like, so when she assists with the escape in this version of the movie that I'm putting together, was she planning on, bringing him back to the house and burning him up in there? Or did she just figure that he was going to be dead set on going after her? Because it seems like he doesn't really care, really. You know what I mean? Some say Dr. Sartain caused the bus crash because Michael was in shackles and leg irons. Sartain's obsession made Michael escape. Yeah, I think that's what's sort of like implied, that he wants to put Laurie and Michael on a collision course for wackiness, that kind of thing. Yeah. And it is incredible that it's William Shatner's mask. Yes, I love it. Man, the way that, I mean, the Michael Myers mask is just one of the most iconic looks in all of horror. It's one of the most happy accidents ever that they've had. T. Parker says, I agree. I love the character arc Laurie went in this trilogy versus just one film like H2O, where we see two different layers of her, and is rather inspiring for those struggling with mental health. Yeah, it is. I do like that she, like, it was nice to see her be that schoolgirl again, but it almost, like, didn't make as much sense because she had seen, like, even more tragedy just within the last few years of her life. So I figured, like, it would have been fun to see her, like, trying to be normal in the first one, even though she knows that, like, this thing is eating at her, and she keeps on hearing the reports about the transfer and everything like that. Like, it's around Halloween time, so it's buzzing in the news and everything like that. And she just has a break. Yeah, absolutely. What's happening, Aaron? Thanks so much for jumping in. Yeah, I know Dave is live right now. I really appreciate you jumping back and forth here and hanging out with us a little bit. Ashton says Sartain can be completely cut from the movie. Didn't like the character at all. Twist made it worse. I will say it was shocking when he put on Michael Myers' mask. I was like, oh no. Like, is Michael really dead and this is going to be the rest of the movie? Freaked me out. Sorry, guys. I just need some water. I'm talking too much. Eli says, my one question is, how did they get his mask from the cops to show Michael? I don't think that's an easy inquiry. Yeah, he says, Aaron says he got it from a friend at the district attorney's office. It is highly unlikely they would let him, have the mask, let alone have the mask outside of an evidence bag. But, there are certain things we do just have to accept in movies. And that's one of those where I tried thinking about that. I'm like, do I want to take that out of the movie? Do I want to have them just show up empty handed? But at some point, you have to figure, like, you want to get Michael in that mask again. So, that's a way to make it happen for sure. I always thought Sartain was actually a patient pretending to be a doctor and tricking the podcasters. That's a good idea. I like that, Raymond. I do like that. I think he leads on so much that something's up with him. Like, everything that he says to Hawkins about, like, what effect does it have on Michael? What does killing feel like? All that kind of stuff. If we're going to keep Sartain in the film, I don't want him saying any of that to Hawkins. He can still attack Hawkins and everything, but I'd rather he say that once the cat's out of the bag. He's already attacked Hawkins. He says that to Allyson, when they're in the car together and he's got Michael in the car with them, which is a very tense scene. Let's see if it makes the cut here. Let's see here. Laurie rigged the house for Michael, and Nancy Thompson did a great job rigging the house for Freddie. Yeah, absolutely. Would have walked out of the theater if that happened. Not sure which one you're talking about there. Let's see here. I'm gonna try to find out. Oh, if he was a patient pretending to be a doctor, that would have been a little bit like kind of reminiscent of like the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Aaron says, I feel like the David Gordon Green trilogy was out to make a more serious Halloween film, but fell back on a lot of cliches anyways. I think that they sort of did. Yeah, because I don't think they knew that it was going to be a trilogy right from the beginning. They certainly didn't write it that way before starting the first film, for sure. Sartain allowed the podcaster to egg Michael on. Yeah, he definitely he wants Sartain is like just as interested in anyone else, maybe even more so interested in what Michael will do if you cut that leash and let him off his tether, for sure. So yeah, guys, moving on to the next topic here. We got Hawkins. He's a Deputy Hawkins here in, the 2018 film. I'm making him sheriff. And I'm not the first person to say this. I just feel like the sheriff that we get in the finished product is just kind of a nothing burger. I mean, the actor is fine, but it's just like, why wouldn't Hawkins just make Hawkins the sheriff? I think that's the right way to go. And I think, you can go a couple different ways with him as far as like you could have him, I would say, if you want to put him in the hospital, if you want him in the hospital in the next movie, which I don't think I do want him there as a patient, but you could have him survive an attack during like mid escape. He survives or he shows up in the aftermath and gets attacked, but ends up living. Or if we're keeping Sartain in the film, Sartain attacks Hawkins. But I'm sort of the mind where I would like Hawkins a little bit away from all of that because spoiler for next week, I want the flashback to be a little bit more of the next film to close out the actual trilogy of Halloween, My Halloween Kills, and then My Halloween Ends. I want more of the flashback. And instead of Hawkins being found by Cameron, I want Hawkins to go to the hospital and tell Laurie what happened. And like, he doesn't know, like Laurie looks to be like comatose or whatever, but Hawkins tells her the story then, and that's when we get the flashback. And then Hawkins can still be a bigger part of the third act of that film. So those are some of the changes I'm making there with Hawkins. I want to see him as the sheriff. I want to don't even really need a lot of him really in this film. If you're gonna keep Sartain, then yeah, you can pair those two up and you can have Sartain attack him. It's not as serious, obviously, because I figured he was toast. I mean, I bet a bunch of you guys in the chat as well, and the folks watching after the fact, like when you watch that movie for the very first time, you figure Hawkins is dead. After that, I mean, to me, it was heartbreaking. I loved the character so much, and I really loved the performance, and it was just gut wrenching to see that happen to him. So, but then, the way he's used in Ends with like him and Laurie just being like two old farts in a couple of hospital beds, like sitting and like being cute with each other. I would rather see them a little more involved with the story there in the next film. So, yep, Hawkins is the sheriff, and he, makes it out relatively unscathed, but we see a little bit of him in this film. He still bumps into Laurie outside of the house where Vicky's babysitting and all that kind of stuff. He's just not necessarily Sartain's chauffeur. That would be a lesser cop, a deputy or something like that could have a similar fate to Hawkins. And Hawkins would have a bigger role in the next film. So that's what I would do with our guy, Cherry Blossoms. Let's see here what everybody says about Hawkins. Trisha really likes Hawkins. I love it. Ashton likes Hawkins as well. I didn't think he was going to die so soon in the trilogy. Yeah, and I figured like it's like even more unbelievable than the podcasters getting the mask is Hawkins surviving after being stabbed like multiple times in the neck. Like, I don't know how you make it through that one. I think that would be pretty tough right there. He makes Laurie more likable. I do like their interaction and everything, and that will spill over into next week's episode and the week after that, Trisha. We'll get a little bit more Hawkins and a little bit more, especially more Hawkins and Laurie. But here in this film, in my Halloween Kills, which is essentially just Halloween 2018, but a bit more gruesome. You know, he's not sidelined. He's just not a main part of the story just quite yet. Raymond says, I also would not have Danny McBride write it. That peanut butter line, so had to be his. Probably. I think some of what McBride writes in here is really good. I do think, yeah, some of the lines for sure. I would take out, I didn't even make a note of it here because most of the family dynamic I really like. As far as Allyson, I like her friends for the most part. I even don't mind Cameron being a jerk because, you know, he is able to sort of redeem himself, and it seems somewhat realistic that he, you know, is that way. I mean, we all went to high school and know people that would act irrationally dickish or whatever, even though they're like usually or mostly a good person. So yeah, I mean, I would probably, yeah, little jokey lines like that, I'd probably take that out. I like the two cops that talk about the banh mi sandwiches. I've got no issue with that. I think that's a good kind of humor to have in a horror movie, and to me, it doesn't seem like a spotlight isn't shined on it for long enough for it to distract me or anything like that. Dean says Hawkins was great but underutilized. Yeah, I would like to maybe a little bit underutilize him in my version of Kills, but then in the next film, in my version of Ends, he is a huge part of the story. So in this version of the story, you know, we see him, he's peppered in there, but the main focus is Laurie and her family, and then, you know, tangentially Allison's friends for sure. And of course, Michael. You know, Michael's still going to go around the neighborhood. He's still going to get in his random kills. We're going to see more killing from Michael. I want to, you know, expand Allison's friend group a little bit so we can get into that here shortly. What's happening, Frank? Thank you so much for stopping in, man. Guys, Frank is going live over on his channel in about an hour and 15 minutes or so. I'll probably be wrapped up at that point with what we've got going here, Frank, so everyone can just go on over and hang out with Frank. And I believe he's got Daniel from the Cobwebs channel, and I'm totally forgetting everyone else. I'm so sorry. I try to remember all this stuff, but there's only so much room. And Dean says Hawkins as sheriff makes way more sense. Barker was a useless character. I think so. Yeah, it just wasn't written very well. Liana says I could have just lived in the flashback for a while. You don't need Laurie for that. Yeah, we're going to get into more of that flashback next week. Absolutely. Hawkins is the Dewey for the new Halloween trilogy. That's great. The flashback, yeah, it is. If it's not the best, it's one of the best parts. And man, if they had all the money in the world, they probably would have been able to make a movie that just took place back then. That would have been interesting to do something like Halloween, you know, you do your 2018 version and then you do one called like Halloween Flashback or something like that. And all it is what happens after that night. And, you know, we'll get into that. I would make some changes in the flashback, just as far as lengthening it, like, you know, the things that I would add to it to create more of that length, but we'll get into that next week. What's happening, Brother Fluff? Thank you so much for hanging out. One of our great channel members here says, I always thought Hawkins' low rank was a self-imposed penance. I think that's what we're supposed to get from Kills, is that it's like, it was something that was, even though it was swept under the rug, like, you know, some people within the force knew about it, and that's why he never got that rank. Or, yeah, he full on turned the job down because he felt like he didn't deserve it because of what happened in 78. Yeah, they don't explicitly say that, of course, but I always thought it was something like that as well. Frank says, I really liked Halloween 2018. Overall, it's the best of the trilogy. I love how it ended as well. Yeah, I really enjoyed it as well. I'm torn on, like, I think Halloween Ends might be like technically a better film, but I think I like the story from 2018 the most out of these for sure. Boom says, I'm sorry, but I was completely trashed when watching these films. I don't remember any of these characters. You know what? They're on Peacock, Boom. So you can go check them out on Peacock, and you know, refamiliarize yourself there. So yeah, guys, getting on with the next little part here. Let's see. Ryan says, actually think 2018 could have been a one and done. Yeah, I that's how they originally planned it, but just like keeping the door open just in case. But yeah, just like the original, this one could have been a one and done legacy sequel for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Raymond says, I want to know why people gripe about Chad stabbing and Scream, but nobody says anything about Hawkins being stabbed in the neck and run over. Yeah, getting run over is pretty brutal too. They're both pretty bad. I guess I would say the bigger offense in Scream is, especially in Scream 6, is that we know that the character lived in that movie. At least in Halloween, you're thinking he died, and then, of course, they go back and sort of change the story to make the next two, and they find a very convenient way to make this character live. But yeah, no, I totally hear you on that one. All right, so getting on to the next one here. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. What's happening, Jerry? Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I love that icon. I'm a massive Dawn of the Dead fan. George Romero is arguably my favorite director. He just may be. I love his zombie movies so much. I love The Crazies. I love Martin, Creep Show, all that stuff. Thanks for hanging out with us, Jerry. Really appreciate it. And let's see what we got next. Boom. This one will be fun. Tommy Doyle. This is one that I have mentioned a few times. So if you guys are familiar with the channel, you've been hanging out here any length of time, whenever I've talked about Halloween 2018, I've always mentioned one of the changes I would make. I just need to wet my whistle here. You guys check it out. I got my Michael. This is technically the Curse of Michael Myers tiki cup. But I don't think you can really tell. The mask just it doesn't look movie specific, but look at how cool this tiki mug is. I know the face is a little blown out, but look at the detail there on the arms and the jumpsuit. Beautiful, beautiful. Keeps my watermelon La Croix very cold. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Getting into Tommy Doyle. So, Tommy Doyle's running for office in this legacy world that we live in. Tommy Doyle is a city councilman, and he is running for mayor of Haddonfield. And so his whole thing is like, keeping Haddonfield safe. He's remembered in part because of what he survived as a child. It didn't really define who he is, but it's one of those things that he's been able to use as a politician to his benefit. So we don't see Tommy Doyle in this version of the film. And I know this is going to get really confusing, but in this version of 2018 that I'm calling Halloween Kills, if you guys missed the beginning of the video or the beginning of the changes I would make, I'm calling this movie Halloween Kills with a more ramped up violent Myers. And the next one will be Halloween Ends. And then the third David Gordon Green trilogy will be a one-off called Halloween Returns. So then everyone gets exactly what they want. You'll all be very, very happy. It'll be a great Christmas for everyone once I'm done with this here in a couple weeks. But yeah, we don't see Tommy Doyle here. We see his campaign signs. So throughout the town, you might see one, in the window of the garage that the podcasters go to, the homes when Vicky, Dave, and Allyson are walking down the street going to school and all that. We see the signs stuck into the folks' yards and everything like that. So we know that Tommy is alive and well, and we know sort of what he's up to, but we are not going to see him until the next film. So that's just a little tiny bit about Tommy, but I wanted to work it in there because this is all about if we're able to look at all three of these movies that David Gordon Green made, with the benefit of knowing everything that happens in them, let's peel some things back. And I think what would have been really cool is I think Tommy's whole character could have been a little bit better. I do really like the casting choice. I think Anthony Michael Hall is a fantastic actor. I don't think they gave him the best stuff to work with in the version of Kills that we got, unfortunately. But I don't think that's his fault. I think it's the interpretation of the character and the dialogue that just didn't really work for me. And almost right away, I don't think it was after the first time I saw it, but maybe the second or third time where I was like, man, Tommy should be like not just some dude that hangs out in a bar with his buddies. Like Tommy should be, he should have like some like greater kind of role, you know, a bit more prominence within Haddonfield. And so, yeah, I would have him as a city councilman running for mayor. So he's on the rise, you know, politically, his life is going well. He's sort of the antithesis of Laurie, you know, whereas Laurie is putting on a brave face, even though she's crumbling on the inside. For Tommy, it was something that he got over because he was so young when it happened, and he sort of uses it as, I mean, not uses it in a bad way, but it's sort of for him is a way to find strength, you know, doing what he does as far as being a public servant goes. So that's that little, I just sprinkle in a little bit of that, you know, a little bit of that spice of Tommy. And you know, all the fans would see the signs and be like, oh my gosh, like, are we going to see him? It would be a cool little world building sort of thing, and would make us, you know, anticipate. You know, you're probably thinking, is he going to show up in this movie? You're waiting for it. And if he doesn't, then you know he's going to show up in the next one. So we'll talk a little bit more about that next week. But I want to see what you guys are saying, because the chat is blowing up ever since I mentioned Tommy Doyle. So let's see what we got here. I want to catch up on a couple of these. Oh, we got Fight the Good Fight hanging out in the chat. How you doing, Fight the Good Fight? Great to see you. Tommy Doyle definitely should have been part of 2018, and Lindsay Wallace. Yeah, I wouldn't be against that either. And I don't need them to be a couple, but if they're a couple, I think you can make it work. I think you can make it work. Oh, thank you, Foong. You can get it at what are the spots called? Suncoast Motion Picture Company, or whatever the hell that place is called, FYE, whatever they call them. The, you know, bullshit DVD store, Blu-ray store in the mall. But now they have everything. They have like Funko Pops and t-shirts and vinyl and everything. T. Parker says, in regards to Hawkins surviving the next stabbing, Cameron came in time to help stop the bleeding and got medical service right away. Chad was stabbed a dozen times. Yeah, I mean, Chad got worked over pretty good in Scream 5, but man, in Scream 6, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And I think like for my story, I don't want Hawkins to get stabbed in the neck by Sartain. It could be a lesser officer, and Cameron can still have that that little moment of redemption there, you know, by being a bit of a good guy. But we'll get to that next week. You know, I wouldn't have said no. I just don't think Paul Rudd's really interested. So yeah, I would have gone. I think, you know, we can just sort of, I don't think I'm going to be recasting actors in this one, Eli, but I appreciate the gusto. I think it would have been great if Paul Rudd came back. He just, I don't think he has the nicest feelings about his time in the Halloween franchise. So I don't think they were ever going to get him. I know they reached out and asked him, but I think it would have been a no matter what. So yeah, we'll roll with Anthony Michael Hall. And let's see here. His election campaign slogan, "Evil dies tonight." You're funny, Herbert. You are funny. Well, in like, you know, not to spoil everything for next week, but think about how much of a more of a reason it gives Tommy for getting involved. Like, he has no real reason for getting involved in the version of kills that we have, other than he wants to act like a tough guy. But if it is one of those things where he's like, I mean, think about it. Like, an election's like a week after Halloween, right? So he's thinking like, this is a way that I can show the town, you know, that I really am looking out for everyone. So he thinks of it like in that regard. Hey, what's happening, Joel? Dark Room Reviews. Go give Joel's channel a watch. Go give him a sub if you're digging what you're seeing. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, Joel. I do like, you know, to hop off track for a quick second. I got a lot of love for The Curse of Michael Myers. It certainly has its problems, of course, but I think a lot of it works for me. And I don't mind that Tommy's weird. I think the accent that Paul Rudd used is the weirdest part about Tommy. But yeah, I have no issues with Paul Rudd's performance other than that. I do prefer the producer's cut. I think it's really weird that in the theatrical cut, Paul Rudd does the narration at the beginning because we don't even know who that is. Whereas in the producer's cut, it's Dr. Loomis, and everybody knows what Donald Pleasance sounds like. So it just makes more sense. Big Rod says political signs would have been some great foreshadowing. Dude, I'm telling you, I can see it right now. I know it's a really simple change that I would make, but I do think it's something that would really like lean into the subsequent movies. Even if you thought this movie was going to be a one-off, it's still a cute little thing to put in there, right? Just to get the people talking. What's happening, Gory Tiger? How you doing? Oh yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Let's see who else we got going on in here. I love this. Eli's just chilling. My guy taking in the smooth sounds of Davy. Oh yeah. Ooh, corn maze. Wow. Yeah, man. Bring your Michael Myers mask. It's your only protection, right? They couldn't put Paul Rudd back for Halloween Kills. He was shooting Ghostbusters Afterlife. But did he even, was it really because of that? Or did he just say no? I don't know. I don't know. If he's at H50, I'll ask him. How about that? I'll interview him and I'll ask him. Thank you so much. Fight the Good Fight. Really appreciate you. Yeah, I've got that voice. If only my voice could get me money, if only. But I'm not Dave McRae. I'm not in the industry, at least not yet. Working on it. We'll see what happens. We will see. My local Target got rid of physical media. Yeah, that's a bummer, man. Let's see here. Yeah, Jamie Lee is done for sure. Let's see here. I have a lot of Suncoast memories. That's great. Yeah, me too. What's happening, Allie girl? We are talking how to make Halloween 2018 better. You can always scrub back if you want to catch up with us, but I can give you the bullet points really quick. I'm calling this movie Halloween Kills. I'm not just calling it Halloween again. Because the next movie is going to be called Halloween Ends, and the third David Gordon Green movie is going to be Halloween Returns, and that's our anthology Corey Cunningham story. So, Allie, I had to say that again to everyone watching because I know you would greatly appreciate all of that. At least I hope you would. So yeah, guys, Tommy is running for office. We don't really see him in this movie, but we see his campaign signs. We see all that kind of stuff. The election's coming up, within a week or so of the events of this film. So a great opportunity for him to, do a little something. So moving on from Tommy Doyle, we've got Allison's friend group. I think I'm going to beef up Allison's friend group because, again, we're calling this movie Halloween Kills. So I'm going to give her at least another girlfriend, right? And one of the reasons why is I want Vicky to live. I love Vicky. And it's cool if she ends up in the hospital at the end of the movie or whatever, or maybe she doesn't come back into action until the third David Gordon Green movie. I just love that performance so much. I want to keep her around. But I'm probably going to give her another girlfriend who can be a babysitter and get killed. Vicky can still be going out with Dave, and Dave takes the bullet for Vicky. So Vicky and what's his face? Gosh, what's the kid's name that she's watching? Oh man, I just watched these movies. I just watched this movie again today just to refresh my memory. And here I am forgetting. It's terrible. You guys will let me know though, right? Yeah, just shut the fuck up, Dave. Julian, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Dean. Yeah, I would have Julian and Vicky escape. Dave gets killed. Another one of Allison's friends is babysitting as well. She gets killed. And the big part of this friend group is there's somebody who's trying to break into the friend group. This character is a year younger than all of our other main high school age characters. And it's a little guy named Corey Cunningham, because I'm putting Corey Cunningham right here in this first movie. We know that Allison is really smart. She's in the National Honor Society. What we learned from Halloween Ends is that Corey's really smart, but he doesn't come from money or anything. So he's got to get a job so he can save money for college. But we get the idea that he's a really bright kid. So I would put Corey Cunningham right here in this movie. He is in the National Honor Society with Allison. He's like an AP student, and they're sort of study buddies. They're friends enough, but he is still kind of socially awkward. He sort of wants to break into their friend group. Let's just say he's got a crush on Allison's other friend that I'm adding into the story here. It's very convenient. I don't even have to name these characters. So Allison's girlfriend that does get killed, maybe Corey's got a crush on her, and he really does just like he's enamored by Allyson, but he knows that Allison's with Cameron. And actually, Corey and Cameron, they've got some friction. So, Lonnie used to bully Tommy Doyle, and Cameron has been bullying Corey pretty much their whole lives. And it's gotten to the point now where he really doesn't like that Corey is hanging out with his girlfriend, later on at night, studying for projects and tests and classes and all that kind of stuff. And really doesn't like that Allyson sort of stands up for Corey. Because she doesn't appreciate, Cameron being a jerk about it. So it brings in another layer of tension to the Cameron Allyson relationship. And then it also, everything that Ray says to Allyson about the history of the Elam family, like, even though she's sort of like, Dad, shut up. Like, she doesn't want to believe it. She wants to believe that Cameron's a nice guy. Like, she does. There's a part, way back in her brain that's telling her like, your dad may be right, Allyson. So I think it adds a nice little layer of complexity in there. And really, we only need Corey in a couple scenes. To me, I'm not foreseeing him as being a main part of this story or even really the next story. I think, to make it make sense for the third David Gordon Green trilogy film, at least the way that I would write it, to have that anthology version of, what I'm calling Halloween Returns, which would be the Corey Cunningham movie. We just need to plant the seed here. We need to plant the seed of who this guy is, how he relates to our other main characters. And I do think we also need to plant that seed of that bullying behavior, and just a guy that, hasn't ever really shown too much of a spine, doesn't stand up for himself. Other people stand up for him. And then, of course, I don't want to say whether or not I'm going to have Allyson and Corey have any sort of relationship in my Halloween Returns film. But I would say that it sort of lays the groundwork for that. If that's the route we go, it also works in that realm also. So let's see here. I'm curious to know what you guys are saying, because I know that Corey Cunningham is a very divisive topic here, but I'm going to get a sip of water really quick. So talk amongst yourselves. All right. Yeah. Herbert Getty says Halloween Ends would have been way better if Michael wasn't in it, and the Michael stuff was all in Corey's mind. Corey's insanity being a result of Michael's reign of terror, what Michael's reign of terror did to the town. Okay, sort of like a Fight Club-ish kind of thing, like you're sort of imagining it. Now, is Corey doing all the things that he's imagining Michael are doing? But I sort of, I pretty much agree with you on the basic premise that I think that, the movie that I'm calling Halloween Returns, again, I don't want to give away too much, but it's sort of like, to make it make sense, since I'm talking about Corey right now. Yeah, I don't know if I would put, like, you'll have to come back in a couple weeks and see. I don't know if I would put Michael in it. Or if I do, it would definitely be different than the way that they did it in their Halloween Ends. T. Parker says Vicky should have survived at least the first film of the trilogy. I think if they knew it was going to be a real trilogy, because I think when they did it, they thought it might just be a one-off. I think that's why they killed her. But I think if they knew they were coming back for a couple more, they would absolutely, have kept her alive. The actress, I struggle to remember her name right now. She was at age 45. She was, man, a total knockout. Like, she's really cute and everything in H18, but holy cow, seeing her in person, I was like, oh wow, you really had a glow up there. She should have lived and ended up marrying Julian when he's in his 20s. Oh my gosh, brother Fluff, that, come on. maybe. Jamie says, I'm pretty sure that when I reviewed this movie after it came out, I said that I didn't care about the characters at all. Given some time, I think I've softened on that opinion. Yeah, I think that it's one of those things where, like, I do think the sequels make it a little bit better going back. Like, I think Allison's great. I mean, I think she's more complex than like any of the girls in the original Halloween, and we all love that movie. So I'd sort of think about it like, I try to compare it to those that, I just try to be fair about it. But I was really high on this movie when it came out. So I was probably the opposite of you when it came out, Jamie. And then we've probably sort of come together in the middle. I mean, I still really enjoy it. I think it's an excellent Halloween sequel, arguably the best Halloween sequel for sure. But yeah, I think sometimes when you see something, you can either be a little bit too high or too low on it, depending on expectations for sure. Yeah, it could have been. So that's the thing is original Halloween, my version of Halloween Kills, which is 2018 but augmented, and then my version of Halloween Ends, which is Halloween Kills augmented, and then that's the end of the trilogy. And then David Gordon Green gets to make one more movie that's just whatever you want to do with Haddonfield, and you don't have to have it tied to Michael if you don't want to. Boom, there you go. Hell yeah. Alley Girl in agreement. That's amazing. My biggest goal here is to win over Allie's good favor on my completely made up hypothetical ideas for the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. Hey, no worries, Eli. Hope you have a great night as well. We'll see you next time around. Hopefully you can make it tomorrow. That's going to be a banger of an episode of Late Night with the Davey with Damien Maffei. Guys, if you don't have your notifications set, go ahead and ring that bell. Especially, just go ahead and do it for the channel. If you're subbed here, get those notifications on. I'm going live so much this month. You definitely don't want to miss any of them. And certainly set the notification for tomorrow's Late Night with the Davey. That'll be huge. Having Damien Maffei on here will be amazing. Let's see here. Ashton throwing out the yes. Everyone's saying that. I know. Don't you worry, guys. We're gonna do something about Evil Dies Tonight next week. Yeah, Corey is really damn complex. And I think he's one of the better characters for sure. And that's why I want to see him in this film, just a little bit. And then when we get to, the standalone movie where he is sort of like the star, we're like, oh yeah, that guy, like it all sort of wraps up. And then as you go back and watch those other movies again, there's just more like built-in lore that just, a little more meat on the bone, I would say, for sure. The Oct is hanging out 16 days until Halloween. We are getting close. Take care, Eli. Love you, man. Have a good one. Let's see here. Raymond says, I don't see Allyson having any interest in Corey. I see him more as Oscar's friend, so that's how he knows him. Oh, okay. Yeah, and I think the reason why I put him in the National Honor Society with Allyson is because it still makes him a bit of an outcast, being nerdy. And they did mention that he was like a really smart kid in Halloween Ends. So I do want Allyson to have some sort of familiarity with him. But, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself. But here in a couple weeks, you guys will hear how I sort of tie it all back around with Allyson and Corey. Because keep in mind, we're talking years have passed between this film and then, what Halloween Returns would be. Absolutely. Hell yeah. Adding Corey works, the friction between him and Cameron. Yeah, I'm telling you, more meat on the bone and more depth for Cameron too. So it works. I think it works building depth with all of these characters. I mean, especially Allyson and Cameron and Corey and just that whole like friendship dynamic, right? Be kind of cool. And boom, Allie likes it. I love it. Why couldn't Corey's accidentally killing the boy he babysitted be a springboard of him redeeming himself later by helping Laurie and Allyson kill Michael? I think they just wanted to do something different and shake it up. But we will get to that here in a couple weeks. All right, let's see here. Big Rod says, you already know I agree with that Corey take. Hell yeah. Sergio, what's happening? Oh my gosh, we are all big Halloween fans here, Sergio. Absolutely. And Allie says, I have no issues with Corey. It was the disrespect of Myers. Yeah, we will take care of that for sure. Virginia Gardner, thank you. I thought Virginia, and then I was like, am I just thinking that because she plays Vicky? Yeah, she's really good. What's happening? Greedo in a Speedo says, hey, I don't know what I missed, but I wish they would have had the flashback intro for the 2018 movie. I thought about like Could the flashback be worked into this film at all? I'm gonna save that for next week, where I'm doing my how to make it better for Halloween Kills. But basically, what you missed here, Greedo and Espeedo, is I'm calling Halloween 2018. I'm calling it Halloween Kills, and we're gonna get the more brutal Myers. Hawkins is sheriff. Sartain, maybe he gets killed at the bus crash. Michael kills everyone there. We get a big bloodbath scene. Laurie was involved with the bus crash. Corey Cunningham is Allison's study buddy. They're both in the National Honor Society. So that's sort of catching you up to where we're at now. Oh, and Tommy Doyle's running for mayor. So we see his, signs and campaign stuff all over the place, but we don't see him yet. Let's see what else we got going on here. I think it'll be good we can sort of hop on over to our next topic here. So we've talked about Corey and what we would do with Corey Cunningham. So we're planting those seeds, right? So we already know kind of who he is and what his awkwardness is all about. And we sort of dipped into this earlier. I just had it later here in the list. Sartain, really, guys, I don't know. I should have come to the table with this a bit more definitive for Sartain. I really couldn't. It was so difficult for me to pick a lane. To me, like I just said to Greedo, we could have him killed in the bus massacre when the accident happens and Michael escapes, or he could be traveling along not with Hawkins but with a lesser, an actual deputy, because now Hawkins is the sheriff in the hypothetical that we're setting up here. But I will say this: Sartain is not joking around. There's no go indoors, I'm a doctor, and there's no but I'm sitting already, and there's no putting on the mask. None of that happens. We're playing Dr. Sartain in a way where you really don't know if he is trying to push Michael along or if he is playing that sort of Loomis role. I want that played a little bit closer to the vest with this version of Sartain if he is to remain in the film. And it's sort of an oh shit moment when he attacks the deputy that he's with. And then he doesn't start saying weird stuff about Michael until he's pulled Michael into the car with Allyson. All of that would be the same in this hypothetical. And then to Allyson, he starts sort of unleashing all of his for years I've been wondering what Michael goes through when he commits these acts and what he's been living with for the past 40 years. And, what does that feel like and all that kind of stuff. So we sort of get this waterfall, all this information from Sartain where you realize oh shit, this guy really did a good job tricking us. And so it sort of also plays into, the portrayal of Laurie, where she's got that facade on. She's trying to act like the Girl Scout and everything like that, but on the inside, she's just starting to break. And then Sartain is oh no, I really am like the Loomis character. But then you start to, you have a moment that's sort of jarring, and then from there on out, he is kind of the antithesis of Loomis for the rest of the film. So I think I'm sort of leaning that way, because I don't necessarily dislike having Sartain in the film. But I think the way they used him was a bit odd. I know a lot of you might not have been here at the very beginning, but oh my God, when the first time I saw that movie, when Sartain put on the mask, I was like, oh shit, he's going to be like Michael for the rest of the movie. That's what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be, so everyone that freaked out when they saw Halloween Ends and the transference of power or whatever, however people on the internet try to explain what happened between Michael and Corey, I was like, oh no, is that happening? Because it was just, talk about jarring. Seeing somebody else wear the Michael mask was pretty rough. And then, muffled talking under the mask when he's like, make room for my guest or whatever. And it's what are you, Tom Hardy as Bane? What's going on here? So thankfully he took that damn mask off. It doesn't make it okay, but holy crap, it could have been my brain, like Michael Scott says, is going a mile an hour. My brain was just oh no, what the hell's going on here? So yeah, that's Sartain. I think I would, yeah, keep him. I would make him more the close to the vest antithesis of Loomis. And I don't want him traveling with Hawkins because he can go ahead and attack another police officer. But I want Hawkins sort of managing everything going on and taking on a bigger role in the next chapter of the story. So let's see here. Big Rod says, I feel like that affects a ton of horror franchises. They never know when they make a movie if it'll be the last or not. Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, in slashers. And man, even when they were making all those Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street, it's like they knew they were making like one a year. At some point, right? So you can build some lore. I think in this one, it had been so long, I mean, other than the Rob Zombie movies, because they just sort of exist in their own little universe, this was the first time we would have seen that version of Michael since what was it, like 02 or 03, 02 when Resurrection came out. So, a good 16 years or something. So yeah, I think they played it a little safe because they genuinely didn't know how well it would do, and then it ended up being the biggest box office slasher like of all time. So who would have known? Oh yeah, gotta get those water breaks in. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? My notifications are in my brain and eyes. Corey was in Allison's grandmother's house dressed as the serial killer that murdered her parents with a bloody knife in his hand. So Allison screams and gets pissed at her grandma. Um, yeah, I don't know, because she thinks that she thinks Laurie killed him, right? Because he says like, your mom or your grandma saying that she's going to kill me. So, and Alice, it's too much to dissect right now. It's a little off topic from what we're talking here. But I do think, Allison is certainly in a weakened position for most of Halloween Ends for sure. Ashton says, we need to get Davey to become a writer for horror movies. Make it happen, Hollywood. Oh my gosh, it would be amazing. I'll give, for the right amount, for the right paycheck. God, I would love to do that. That would be amazing to have that as a job. But we're all just, I think like all of us fans, like, I don't think there's anything crazy unique or special about anything I'm saying. I bet like, if we were all hanging out, sipping on some coffee or some beers or whatever, just chit chatting, like we'd all come up with really fun ideas and what if scenarios. And, everyone would sort of be able to contribute something really, really nice. And that's just one of the great things about, having a YouTube channel, guys. So, and one of the great things about having you guys as a community and a group of people to hang out with is that like these are the things I think about, and I don't have anyone to talk to about them in my real life. So it's so cool that I can jump in here. It makes me feel a little bit important for just a tiny little bit of time. And yeah, I really appreciate that, Ashton. Yeah, these are things that I've put a lot of thought into. So I hope you guys really dig this series, and let's see where we're at. Just want to say what's up to Wayne. How are you doing, Wayne? Hope you are rocking along this week. He says they should have just used Marion Chambers as the main doctor and not even had Sartain. Oh, so she actually goes and like gets her degree. She's like inspired by Loomis. Huh. That's not a bad idea. I could see that. I could totally see that. You could even use that inspiration from Loomis as the reason why she went back to medical school, or you know what I mean? Like went back and finished. Okay. I can get with that. I mean, I would say if you're going to have Marion Chambers in these movies, please give her something to do, because they really don't give her anything to do in Kills, unfortunately. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Jamie's got the answer for you there, Herbert, on Allison for sure. And yeah, Sartain as he is in the film, in the finished version, I don't hate everything about him. I don't know if I would say he sucks, but yeah, there are a couple things that really stand out to me that I would have changed. I don't mind that he is the one that wants to put, Michael or Laurie in Michael's path. I don't mind that. Just some sort of like acting choices and then of course writing that I didn't really dig for sure. Let's see here, whatever. Vote Thomas Doyle for Haddonfield mayor. That's what's up. You know what I mean? Yeah, Dean likes that idea, Wayne. Hell yeah. And welcome to the chat, Wayne. Welcome, welcome. Sartain wasn't much of an addition. Yeah, it's true. He is sort of, you know, he a plot convenience, maybe, I guess you could say, about Sartain. Definitely not the new Loomis. Laurie got that one wrong. Yeah, she said that because everyone in the audience is thinking that. I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why that's written into the script, for sure. What if one of Allison's extended friend group was Tommy and Lindsay's daughter? You could certainly tie that together as well. Yeah. I'm sort of like, I don't really know if I want to put Lindsay and Tommy together romantically. Maybe at some point, maybe they're exes, maybe they dated, high school, early college, but it didn't really work out. It fizzled out or something. I don't know. But it would be, I do want them to have some sort of relationship, at least. Like, I do like the friendship they have in the final version of Kills. Like, I do appreciate that. So, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see next week. Raymond, I love this. You guys are like, the engagement here is amazing. I really do. I take a pause and everything from talking about all this stuff. Like, I really appreciate you guys jumping in. I can tell it's like invigorating your thought on these movies, and I think that's really cool. I mean, that's why we come here and why we hang out. Let's see here. Herbert says, Davey, my pal, making me think you're one of the aliens in the faculty drinking so much water, because I'm just blah blah blah, Fung says, I appreciate your in-depth analysis of character relations. You're turning a slasher into psychological terror. Yeah, and like, Fung, the way I feel about it is I'm so much more interested when I can be invested in the characters, right? So, not every movie needs to be like 2 hours long or anything like that. So certainly you have to sort of figure that out when you're telling a story, and you have to be economical, especially with a slasher, I think. But I think with something like Halloween, like, let's let that tea steep. Like, let's keep the bag in there a little bit longer. Let's let some of that flavor out. Because we know we have something that's a proven successful franchise. So let's do a little bit of like George Lucas Star Wars building, like world building. You know what I mean? Not Disney Star Wars, but like actual, like, let's think about some of these things. And not have to like figure them out with our backs against the wall, which is what they ended up having to do with Kills and with Ends. Have a great night, Gina. We'll see you next time around. Big Rod says, I think there's a lot more that goes into writing a movie than some good ideas. Yep, that is absolutely true. In many cases, it takes a full room of talented people to write a single movie. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when you see a movie, it's like you see maybe 2 or 3 writing credits on the actual screenplay. Maybe a person or two have a story credit and they didn't even have anything to do with the screenplay. So yeah, it does take, it's really easy for me to step in here and be like, I'm going to keep 85% of it, and these are the things I'm going to change and add. So much easier to do that than writing a script. Would never say that I could write a better script than any of these movies at all. But as a huge fan of film and a fan of Halloween and, Michael Myers, I do think, a couple of these ideas are pretty fun. You never know, Big Rod. Just get me in the room. Jamie says Sartain sucks because he's an evil, manipulative bastard, deceiving everyone so that Michael can be free without any regard to the consequences. Yeah, he is. Well, and I think that's why I call him the antithesis of Loomis, because Loomis was, at all costs, we have to stop Michael. And Sartain is the other side of the coin, right? He's like, at all costs, I have to know what makes Michael tick. Whereas Loomis was like, I know there's nothing there. I tried to find out what was there. I tried to find out what made him tick, if there was any like reason or anything behind those, blackest eyes. But there's nothing at all. Could not reach him. And so I think, yeah, that's why I think of Sartain as the antithesis. But I would like to see them sort of tease that, make us think it's going to be the classic like Force Awakens legacy sequel where we can trust this guy, and then it really, flips and turns on a dime. But yeah, I mean, he, as far as saying he sucks because he's a bad guy, he absolutely is a bad guy. You're 100% about that for sure. T. Parker, come on, dude. You don't like the sizzle, not the steak? I don't hate Sartain. I rather him than Loomis from RZH2. Yeah. I'm selling the sizzle. Piping hot. Or whatever. You know, doesn't he say sizzling? Does he say sizzling hot or piping hot? PG tips, sizzling hot? I think that's what he says. So he uses sizzle twice. Huh. He's obsessed with sizzle. All right, moving on from Dr. Sartain. Let me see here. Just going to get that off. There you go. T. Parker, that's not a very high bar. Oh my gosh. All the, the terrible, terrible talk about Loomis from Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I think it's pretty realistic that in this day and age, a doctor like Loomis would end up like Loomis was in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I can totally believe it. But of course, more power to you. I mean, if we all agreed on everything, it would be super boring and these movies wouldn't be any fun at all. So yeah, let's see here. Raymond says, I just think that maybe they had a fling in college or just after, and she got pregnant. She clearly was crushing on him in 76. Oh yeah. Or 78. Yeah. With, Tommy and Lindsay. Okay. Yeah, we could do that. All right, Raymond, maybe I'll work that in. If I end up working that into what I've got for next week, I'll definitely give you credit on that one because I think it's certainly worth examining that for sure. Yes, 20th Century Fox Star Wars, the actual Lucasfilm, Lucas's version of Lucasfilm. Sizzling hot. I love it. He's such a jerk. He is such a jerk. And shout out to Mary Birdsong in Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. I love her from Reno 911, and I think she's great in that movie. And I think the actress they originally had for the role fell through at the last moment, and she came right in to save the day. We just got a couple more, guys, and then we'll be all wrapped up here. Boom. The Shape hunts Allyson. I want this to actually be a scene. It is the biggest out of everything in Halloween 2018. I think this is the biggest cock tease out of the whole movie. We get that amazing theme, or the music piece that's called The Shape hunts Allyson. It's just beautiful. Everyone knows the tune, the beautiful, really moody, and you got the guitars wailing in there and everything. She bangs on a couple doors and then cut. It's over. I'm just like, what? So I want to see an actual scene where there's a bona fide chase scene, a stalking / chase scene with the Shape and Allyson. And, at this point, the town has caught wind of everything that's been going on. Remember, this version of the movie is called Halloween Kills. There's been, probably twice as many murders than we have in the version of 2018 that we're left with, because the inmates from Smith's Grove are all dead, and more teenagers are dead. And, people are not answering their door and not helping. So if you're one of those Sartain haters and you just want him to go bye-bye from the whole movie entirely, then The Shape hunts Allyson right there. That can be where Allyson runs to Laurie's. That can be how Michael gets to Laurie. But ultimately, I think you got to leave Sartain in there because he is the reason why Michael and Laurie cross paths. Michael's not interested in Laurie. It's just sort of like oh yeah, I remember you. Yeah, I think I still want to kill you. It seems like that's all it takes, right? Michael just sees her and is like, yeah, I recognize you. Let's finish what we started. But he doesn't even, when Allyson runs off in the woods, Michael's just sort of like, yeah, whatever. I'm taking care of this guy. No big deal. So I want to see an actual, regardless of whether or not Sartain's in the film, I want to see an actual stalking and chase scene between Michael and Allyson. I want that piece of music. I know later on in the franchise they expanded on it, but I want that piece of music expanded on. It doesn't even have to be that long, but honestly, guys, it's 15 or 20 seconds of the movie, and it's one of the best pieces of music and such a squandered opportunity for us to spend time with the character that's essentially going to be our new final girl. So I want a little bit more of that stalking, a little bit more of that chasing. Maybe she hides a couple times and has to run away because he finds her. Whatever. We're not writing the whole script here, but I want more of The Shape hunts Allyson. Yeah, Raymond says it's a great song in the movie, about 30 seconds. I know. Terrible. Allyson and Michael should have had a fight like they did in Kills. A little something, right? Little struggle, tears a sleeve off of her shirt or something like that, just a little more action there. A little more reason for Michael to, again, if Sartain's not in the story, for him to pursue. And then, even if Sartain is in there, I still think we could have that chase scene, and it just sort of ties everything together with more of that familial connection at the end. Not Michael and Laurie familial, just Allyson and Laurie. And we're not going there. They are not brother and sister. Yeah, Michael definitely should have been in pursuit of Allyson much longer. Yeah, it seems like something where maybe they had a little bit more in there and they just cut it out because they wanted the movie to be at that hour 40 mark or what have you. Laurie was the one that got away. Yeah, Raymond, you're absolutely right. Let the man have his music. Come on. Just give me what I want. Are you saying me or Michael? Let Michael have his music too, right? Both of us. It is an amazing track. I mean, you can't say enough about it. I'm so glad that they revisited it and brought it back bigger in the other movies. But man, I could have used more of it here for sure. Yeah, it should have been called Allyson Sees the Shape. Yeah. Yep, a bit misleading. David Gordon Green really knew how to waste amazing potential. Yeah, and it's like anything else. Like the director, sure, they've got a certain amount of power and everything, but there's so many other, powers that be at play ultimately when it goes from, what you shoot and what ends up on the screen. But yeah, I think just overall in these movies, I agree, Dean. I enjoy the movies a lot. They're all in my top 5 of the franchise, but I do think, even having said that, I think they could have been better, and I think that's another important thing that I have a little aside here really quick. I think it's really important for us to be able to be critical and talk about the negative things, or talk about negative aspects of things that we enjoy and things that we love. I think it's really weird. Like, we've entered this, I don't know if it's more recent, just with, social media growing over the last like 20 years or so. But it does seem like there's this idea that it's like you either love something or hate something. And that goes for like, whether it's like a political stance or a political party or a movie or a piece of music or a book or a public figure, like whatever it is, they do one thing that upsets you and it's just like, F that person. And I totally get it. There are certain things that are worthy of saying, see ya. But I do think, what you sort of reminded me of here, Dean, is that, it's okay to be like, I really love this thing, and these are the flaws, whether it's a piece of art or a person. I think it's good to have that outlook. I think it's, a good way to also like reflect and look at ourselves too, that you don't have to beat yourself up about, your inherent flaws or whatever, or the mistakes that you make, but you certainly should acknowledge them for sure. It's a shame because David Gordon Green's shows are great. Yeah, and it's movies and TV, they're just so different, right? And I think it's different when you're stepping into the world of something like Halloween and there's already all this established lore. You're trying to fit in, but do something that like is going to remind fans of the good old days. And you're not going to be able to reach everyone no matter what you do. I think they did a great job though. Hey there, Herbert. Have a great rest of your night. Yeah, you got to pop into late night tomorrow. Damien Maffei is going to be on the show. It's going to be amazing. I am so pumped for that. Just got to say, Allyson's costume in Ends was much, much better than what she wore in 2018 in Kills. Yeah, well, and yeah, we could, I think Andi Matichak becomes a better actress as the movies go on, as well. And yeah, she looks great in her little cat outfit, sipping her vodka drink and licking her lips like a naughty, naughty little girl. Poor David Gordon Green. I'm not going to complain. He took me for a ride and I enjoyed it. There you go. Yeah, I love them all. I really dig them, but it's fun to come together and sort of have that discussion about all of these for sure. Okay, guys, so let's see here. Let's go into our last little item here because we are going on an hour 35. I didn't know I would be so verbose in this video, but you know me, guys. I talk a lot. So we gotta touch on how this thing all ends. Like, how does my version of my Halloween Kills, which is Halloween 2018, but I'm calling it Halloween Kills. I know it's very confusing. A climax bathed in flames. And I really like the way this thing wraps up. I like Laurie sort of flipping the tables on Michael and kind of stalking him throughout the house. I like Michael throwing her over the balcony, getting distracted by Allyson, then looking back over the balcony and Laurie isn't there. I love that kind of callback to the original film. I love the whole like, it's a trap kind of thing with with Laurie's house and everything. I think though, what I want to do, because again, this is called Halloween Kills, is I want to extend the ending of this movie. I want to see some of what they actually put in the real Halloween Kills. I want to see Laurie, Allyson, and Karen driving away, the whole fire trucks coming down, them saying, let it burn, let it burn. And I want to see some of the firefighter crazy massacre scene. And I'm even thinking like, I want some stylized like slow motion shots, some like really cool kills. And what we could sort of do is you could almost watch like half of that scene could play out, right? So you could end it with like Michael coming out to the porch, right? Slow motion, the water from the hoses is like dripping all over the place, but the house is still engulfed in flames. And Myers is there like about to do his thing. You could even have the movie end like right there and cut to credits. Or you could even have it end when he like stabs the one guy with the halogen, like that's the last shot of the movie. And then I would have my next film pick up right there where we see the aftermath. Maybe even we just see bodies all over the place and Michael just walk off, because what I'd like to do, and I'll get into this, in more depth next week. I'd like to spend more time in that flashback scene in the next chapter of the story. So I sort of want to include a little bit of this ending here. I always felt like, when I watch all three films, the ending of this one, even though like I enjoyed where the climax goes, I feel like the last few bits of the frame, it's sort of like a little bit of a whimper, that the zoom in on the freeze frame of the knife is a little bit of a whimper. And what's really odd is they do the freeze frame push in on the knife in Kills as well, but then they don't do that in Ends, which was like, if you're going to do it, the cinematic tableau in two movies, why don't you do it in the third movie to end it? Kind of odd. So yeah, I would extend the end of this film. I would show some of that firefighter massacre. Again, this version of the film is called Halloween Kills. And I want the audience to know that Michael is still out there and still on his rampage, and you can expect him back, baby. So that pretty much wraps up the things that I would change about Halloween 2018. I would call it, here, we can go through really quick. I'd call it Halloween Kills. The next one would be Ends, and then David Gordon Green's third movie would be called Halloween Returns, and that would be the standalone story. I would have Laurie sort of putting up a facade of the Girl Scout, but inside she's still sort of broken, and she still has the, everything planned in her house to go up in flames and to be, a trap for Michael. I would have Laurie directly involved in Michael's escape. Hawkins is the sheriff, and he's not in this story as much as he is in the original film, but he is going to play a bigger part later. Tommy Doyle is running for office. His political campaign signs are seen, but he is not at this point in the story. Allyson's got some more friends. We want Vicky to live, so she's got at least another girlfriend who is going to meet her demise. Dave still dies, so see ya, Dave. And Corey Cunningham's trying to break into that friend group. He is Allyson's study buddy. They're in the National Honor Society together. And, Cameron does not like that one bit. He's been bullying this kid forever. And that's pretty much all we get of Corey. Dr. Sartain keeps his cards close to his vest, doesn't really show too much of what he's really after. We truly believe that maybe this guy is the new Loomis. And then when he turns on a dime, it's shocking. And he really embraces that role and puts Michael on that collision course with Laurie. Then I would extend the shape hunts Allyson. I want more of that music. I want more stalking. I want more interaction with Allyson and Michael to just, to build that tension between our new final girl and our classic villain. And of course, at the end, I want to see the firefighters show up. I want to see that climax end at its apex. And then we know we're getting another Michael Myers movie because Michael is not finished yet. And then we get to talk for that whole year between those movies. It's like, oh man, what is Michael going to do now? Like, where's he going to go? What's going to happen with this story? Instead of being like, how does he escape and having to watch it all at the beginning of the next film. I just kind of want to see it. I like, if you're going to bleed over into the next movie, like I want to see a piece of that. I want it to sort of be seamless. And again, I want it to end at an apex instead of a still shot of a knife. So yeah, those are my changes. What I would do to Halloween 2018 to make it better. Guys, this was so much fun. It's something I've wanted to do for a really long time. I originally envisioned this as a pre-recorded series, like video essay, but feel like it would take forever for me to do something like that. So just wanted to hop on live with you guys and knock them out this Halloween season. So I will be back next Tuesday. So what's that? Tuesday the 22nd. I'll be back, same bat time, same bat channel. 8 p.m. Eastern. And then on Tuesday, the 29th, we'll be closing out the David Gordon Green trilogy. And if you guys like this, let me know. Jump into the comments after the stream is over. Let me know if you enjoy this. And if you want me to see it, if you want to see me do it with other films or other franchises, heck, even suggest something. Be like, hey, there's this movie that I thought like was kind of good. I want to see your take on how you would make it better. Or even an entire franchise. Whatever it is, maybe T. Parker, maybe you want me to fix the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. That could be kind of fun. So yeah, guys, let me know in the comments below. Let me know in the chat here. And I could make this a thing where we go live, maybe once a month, we just do something fun like this and have a little back and forth. I think it would be really, really cool. Let's see here. I just want to catch up with you guys in the chat. Let's see. I must have missed one from Dean earlier. Let's see here. Oh, love 18 and Kills, but there was certainly room for improvement. Liana says, that's how I feel, Dean. They didn't make the trilogy for the serious Halloween fans. There were hat tips, but it was made to bring more people to the franchise. Yeah, with Halloween and, Jason and Freddy, anytime they do those, even Scream, they're always going to find, they want us fringe people to come in, but they're always going to, they got to make that money. So they're always going to try for that. And it is a tough job. Yeah, I don't envy the work because that there's going to be, even if you put out a total banger of a movie, there's going to be a good percent of the fandom that's going to be like, let's see here. Just want to jump ahead a little bit. I was critical of all three movies, but I don't hate them either. I really liked them. I feel like the hate for David Gordon Green is a lot louder than the praise. Yeah, and I don't think it's nearly as warranted either. Dean says, I have a hot take here. Believer had potential with some questionable decisions, but it's not as bad as most people make it out to be. Yeah, I had said this. I don't know if it was, I think it was a couple nights ago, that I think that was like people that were upset about ends, and then they saw Believer and they just wanted, they're letting their hate like piggyback on their other hate. Terrifier gets to just please the fans. It's only for the fans. It's interesting to see how that dynamic works. Yeah, and that's one of the benefits of our modern system is that, if you find success as an independent filmmaker, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can retain that success if you want to. And if you want to, you can re You can also sell off your property if you'd like to do that as well. But Damian Leone has, retained all of that. He's been able to keep control, and that allows him to do just whatever he wants because he clearly knows his fans for sure. A filling station in flames! I tell you, Michael Myers is here in this town. I love it so much. Hopefully my Loomis isn't terrible, guys. Jamie says, I tried with Terrifier. I wanted to like it. It's just not for me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still I'm considering going and checking it out at the theater one of the nights this week, but I'm also like, do I really want to? Raymond says, I don't think you should blame DGG, the director. He has a good eye for scenes, and I think John and Jamie should have helped shape the script better. Yeah, and even, I think, man, the script for Kills is probably the worst one. So I do think this one is, ahead of the curve on that. Whew. Sorry, guys. After doing that Loomis, I have to wet my whistle. Fight the Good Fight says, I'm fine watching the Terrifier movies once, but they're not too rewatchable to me. Yeah. T. Parker didn't enjoy the first movies, but the third, I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. Heck yeah, I really dug the second one, but man, it's really, really long. It's really long. I'd only watch it again on like a rewatch or something like that. Yeah. Corey is unfriend zone. Oh, I love it. Let's see here. Oh, thank you so much, Foong, for hanging out. Really appreciate you. And hopefully we'll see you next time around. Have an awesome night, Allie. Thank you so much for hanging out. Big Rod forgives me for the lack of pre-recorded because my lives are amazing. Thank you so much, Big Rod. I know Dave McCrae has found a really great way of doing like mostly lives and having it really work. But, he got to start doing a lot of pre-recorded stuff as well. I think that's probably what helped build the channel, Thank you, Leon. I really appreciate the kind words here. And yeah, we can turn this into kind of a monthly little thing here. T. Parker would love to see how to fix Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. All right. Let's do it. Let's do it. Oh, thank you so much, Raymond. You are too kind. You guys are too sweet. Yes, as Eli would say, slash that like button on your way out the door. Come back on the replay and drop a comment. And boom, Jamie puts it perfectly. Don't forget to smash that like, subscribe to the channel, become a member, and join the Death Squad. And if you're watching after the fact, leave a comment. Yes. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We are just under a couple hours. That's going to be it for me tonight. Thank you to all of, first off, everyone that everyone that hang out, everyone that comes. First off, everyone that came to hang out tonight and drop in their ideas and engage in the very invigorating conversation. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you're watching after the fact, drop a comment. Let me know what you think of my ideas. Are they garbage? Do you have some ideas that you think would work well with what I'm doing? Do you think that this movie is just beyond saving, or is this movie so perfect that no one should touch it? Not even hypothetically. Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much to the subscribers. Really appreciate the patrons and the channel members. You guys are helping to pay the bills over here, and you guys fuel everything we do here at the channel. I love this community so much. Every time I have a live, I look forward to it. Hanging out with you guys is the best few hours of my day. So I cherish every little bit of that, and I can't wait to be back tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, late night with the Davy. We've got Damien Maffei coming up, and I am pumped to have a chat with our guy. Really looking forward to that. So that's going to be it for me tonight. Yeah, guys, let me know in the comments which movie or franchise you want me to tackle next to see how we can make it better. And until next time, I've been and will continue being Davey Deathray. Take care.